Oh yeah, he has many collections. It's fun. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. No, I leave.
He's going to get to his new place. He's going to get to his office. He's going to order a pizza, and he's going to. I don't have.
It would have disrupted the department heads. It's a different culture.
You know, since you've told me that, I've had interaction with somebody, and they told me the same thing.
No.
So. Yeah. Well, that's what they say in the news. Hey, you don't let a utility man into your house until you see ID. That's. Yeah.
I don't want to misunderstand.
Anybody can steal a truck. Yeah.
Preserve the pay, but I think
The whole city. Everybody in this city has their job, and they're all important positions. The people bitch about DPS, but when Bartox get all screwed up and they weren't doing nothing,
Give him an alias.
they were yelling and screaming. Now that they're trying to do something, now they don't have the manpower to do it.
Right.
there's still a lot of garbage. I really am still upset that we bought all that new equipment and we don't have it, and they said we didn't have the manpower to put it to
But they can hire 9 more people. Well, that's why I started to question the test. In the past 3 years, they've had 39 people pass the test.
This is only screwed up for
Where are they?
us. Everybody else.
Where are those 39 people?
If I could have the camera, please, Don.
Right. That's what I'd like to know.
There it is. Call the September 16, 2019 meeting of the Lincoln Park City Council to order. If everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which will be immediately followed by the invocation by Reverend Russell Bone of Lincoln Park Church of Christ.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, as we bow before you this evening, we're grateful, Father, for this great land that we live in. We ask your blessings upon our national legislature, our state government, and especially this evening, Father, our local government. We ask you, Father, to bless our council here. We ask you to bless them and the mayor and the clerk and our first responders, our police and firemen and EMTs. And we ask you to bless them and be with them, Father. We know Paul tells us in Romans 13 that we need to honor our government. And so we do that tonight. We honor them, Father. We thank you for them. We know that Paul tells us to pay our taxes and be good citizens, so we ask that each one of us will be dedicated to that. Father, this evening we especially want to mention those that gave their lives in September the 11th and the observance that we just had here in our country. Father, we're proud of the fact that as a people we can remember them and honor them, and we pray that we'll continue to honor them in the future. Bless our government tonight, Father, and we just pray you'll make them wise beyond their years as they make these wonderful and important decisions for our community. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. We could have roll call, please.
Councilpersons Breeding. Present. Higgins.
Here.
Kelsey.
Here.
Parkinson.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Salcido.
Present.
And Mayor Carnes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Got a lot of stuff going on today, so I will be relatively brief. This past Wednesday, Giles Tucker was the EDC DDA director who had his last day here Friday, but before he left, he had a meeting to get us on track for redevelopment ready in our community. Members of the DDA, the EDC, the Planning Commission, and representatives of council were in attendance. A lot of good conversation that took place, and in the end, as a result of this, I think that those four groups will form a steering committee to make sure that the city stays on track to becoming redevelopment ready. So thanks to Giles, and best of luck through him in Madison Heights. On 2 weekends ago, there was a cleanup at the band shell. Annette DiMaggio and some folks from the Community Improvement Commission and other volunteers came out and did a nice work with that. And there was supposed to be one this past weekend. I think that it took place.
It did.
Although, okay, there you go. And
Over about 20 people.
about
No,
20
he's talking about the one at the museum.
The one at the museum, yes. Yep, and that's it. And if you want to see the good work that was done last weekend, then you can come in to the flea market that's going to be taking place at the Historical Museum on Saturday. And the details of that will be in one of the action items later on. At the special meeting previous to this, he appointed a interim city manager to take us through the time of Mr. Koppler's leaving until we can do the search for our next city manager. We are fortunate to have the candidate, John Zach. John is a former city manager in Wayne. He was, I did some time in Southgate, and Allen Park as before they were going through their difficult times. And for those that follow what goes on in the city, you will remember John from his time of serving as on the Regional Transition Advisory Board, or RTAB, where he did a lot of good work for him. So John will be starting tomorrow. And I just, John, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, saying a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. And I'm John Zeck, as the mayor indicated. I'm honored to be asked to serve as the interim manager of this fine community, and to work with all of you as well as with the staff and the residents to keep the onward and forward push to make Lincoln Park better. And I'm glad to help with the process you're going to go through to select a fine follower to the hard work that Matt accomplished here with you. And again, thank you for the appointing me, and I'm looking forward to starting tomorrow morning.
And with that, we had mentioned that Matt is leaving, and we mentioned the time under RTAB and emergency management. And the best thing that happened through the city through all of that was having Mr. Koppler appointed as city manager. He definitely made a tremendous impact here during his 4 years. And the things that he has started and has worked on will continue past him down the shores, I guess they would say. But I just wanted to extend my thank you for his time here and wish him well in St. Clair Shores. Hope no flooding, maybe flooding anyway.
Take the flooding with you.
Yeah, take the flooding with you.
Take the flooding with you.
And then lastly, we have a construction program going on, or it's the school district has with Hoover School. There's been a couple issues with that. We have John Hennessy here who's going to touch on that for us and give us an update. So John, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to pass out a handout here for council. I only have 9, so Mr. Zelnick does not get one.
You can always sue.
Actually, I'll pay. Yeah, there you go. And I'll wait for this to. And good evening, Mayor and Council. And as the mayor indicated, there's been an addition to Hoover School, and it is, as part of that addition, they're looking to provide fire suppression through a sprinkler system within the schools. And they have, they basically did a small water main improvement to connect two ends, but let me provide an overview, then I'll go through the drawing here and kind of explain that. And what we are looking at, their demand needs are approximately in the range of 630 minutes per 600 gallons per minute, and a residual pressure of 48 or 43 psi. And so when you rate fire flow for fire suppression, it's two things. It is the volume of water that comes through, that's the gallons per minute, and then that's the pressure that's present through there that shoots the water out. So you don't have, in a sense, 600 gallons a minute just as a little dribble. You get 600 gallons a minute in a sprinkler head that fans out over an area through there. And what I presented is a little drawing here. I'd like to go through. It's color-coded with three colors. The yellow lines are existing water mains within the city that we have. There's two lines that I want to point out, though, is on Lafayette Street. It's at the very top. That's a 16-inch line. And then on New York Avenue is a 12-inch line. Those are transmission lines for the city. That means that they don't have any direct residential connections to them. They really serve, they're more of the main arteries of the system for us that feed the 8-inch lines. And you can see those 8-inch lines coming down Emmons and Riverbank through there. Then you also see a blue line where Hoover School is through there. And that's a water line that Hoover School put in to connect two lines on each side of their school, basically. And they were looping through the school through there. Well, during that time, it was determined that our residual water pressure is not sufficient for the needs that they have at this time through there within our neighborhood. And their demands are quite a bit higher than normal state guidelines require at this point through there. And we've outlined a couple of potential solutions to see that, and that's what you see in the pink drawing through there. Basically, we'd be coming off of a 12-inch line off of New York Avenue all the way to Riverbank, connecting to their new line, and then we would be coming off of Lafayette down Emmons and on Riverbank and kind of providing a U-loop through there. And that would likely satisfy their needs through there. We do have some challenges even as we sit here today, because New York Avenue is a transmission line, as I described. It doesn't have fire hydrants on it, and as a result, there's no fire hydrants on it. There's no way to test the pressure that's within the lines. How we test pressure is we test two fire hydrants that are right next to each other. They're obviously 300 or 400 feet apart, but they're in sequence with each other. And you test the pressure on one, and then that's your static pressure. Then you open the valve in the second one, let it free flow out, and then you test the pressure, and that's your residual pressure. And the thing that the city, that the school board is needing at this time, the school designer is needing, is 43 psi of residual pressure, which is quite high. We run typically, the pressures within our mains are in the range of 50 to 60 psi through there. And so, as you can imagine, once you open it up, it kind of brings it down through there. But we do have a meeting with their designers to go over exactly what their criteria has done. We haven't seen that completely because the school districts go through the state of Michigan. They don't come through the local building officials and local reviews through there. And I'm here to answer any questions, the council.
So you're going to be meeting with them, and then you'll be coming back to us?
Then we'll come back to you, and we need to make sure that we understand exactly what their needs are, and is there that there's something not being lost in translation through there. We want to sit down with them and the sprinkler engineers as well to go through that.
And the purpose for having Mr. Hennessy here today is so that council could know that this was ongoing and this is a potential problem with that, and just to appraise you of what's taken place so far.
That's correct.
Chair, if I may be asking
Yes.
just one, or
Sure, go ahead.
this is the city's responsibility to pay for this, or will this be projects that come underneath the $68 million millage they just got?
That's a difficult question. It's, generally, if a development came in here, company ABC came in here and said, we want to come into your community, they would come to us and say, these are our needs. This is the water we need, the sewer capacity, things like that. And if we don't have them, they're required to do the off-site improvements necessary to do that. That's why we're trying to meet with them to look and see what is the most effective way to get this done. It will benefit the community, though, doing some of these improvements as well through there. It'll provide additional firefighting capabilities as well within the community, too. So there's a dual benefit through it, but
This is a major.
it's a substantial improvement. That's correct. It's not inconsequential. That's correct.
Through the chair, I agree with Council President. I talked to you earlier about this. They just got like $60-some million. And if you charge a company that comes in building a building, then you should also, this should be under the school building plan also.
Well, this is early innings, so to speak. This is just advising us of what is going on. There's no cost associated.
That's right. We haven't
with that just yet. And then when that part comes, we'll look over what our needs and what the city's going to get out of it, as opposed to what they're just for Hoover School, I guess.
That's correct, Mayor. We'll come back in front of you and give you the results of that meeting and kind of outline what, as a collective group, we've come up with, and then we can begin to look at other things.
I had a question through the chair. My understanding, John, is you wouldn't get involved in the engineering because the school is exempt from us doing anything, am I correct? In other words, what I'm trying to say is, or maybe you can explain it better, is the school is exempt from some of the stuff that we require because they fall underneath the state for the inspections and so on and so forth, is what I'm getting at. So what I'm trying to say is, when they usually put a project, or anybody puts a project together, they kind of test where they're going. Like you say, they know that they go down and they say, oh, there's a problem here or a problem there, like we had for the kidney place.
The dialysis place.
Dialysis. They kind of know before they start ripping into the place that they have some concerns, okay, based on their needs, because it's something that fire suppression, I don't think, was in the old Hoover School, not in 1930.
Oh, no, certainly was not.
So, and then, of course, the Catholic Church school is right across the street, and I don't know but they're right off of that, so I don't know what their provisions are. But this is something new because they did the construction and decided to put the new building in, and now tied in, and of course everything gets updated. What I was getting at is that you guys weren't apprised per se, you guys meaning our engineering firm, that there was an issue until when, is what I'm asking.
When they came and did the fire test, and that was in July 2nd, I believe, is when they did the fire test through there. Okay. And we knew, but I will tell you that, just as the city's always been very business friendly in trying to, work with new people that come into the community and accommodate their needs. And if there are small repairs that can be done, we've undertaken those before because they've done repairs for us that have been needed as well. So we just have to look at the whole situation in its totality.
Well, I'm not, through the chair, I'm not really arguing that. I'm just arguing the fact that if I'm brought to the table at the beginning as a partner, that's different. But when I'm exempt from anything until there's an issue, I have a problem. And they've been a good, because my house backs up to it. So they've been a good neighbor. I didn't have any problem. Every time I talk to them, they fix all that. That's not the issue.
Sure.
But the issue is that we have certain requirements for anybody that builds in a city, period. We have them go through a process, and the engineer, you guys look at it, and so on and so forth. That's all I was stating. We'll have to find out when you get
That
the final
is-
discussion with their people to find out what happened, I guess.
That's really a correct and maybe a distinction for the public is that the schools are under the state's building department and the state's fire marshal and not our local communities. And that's for all schools throughout the state of Michigan.
The schools are seen as their own entity.
That's right, it's their own governmental entity. And so it's,
Well, John, thank you
Thanks.
for bringing us, apprising us of this, and then keep us posted with development.
we'll be back shortly. We hope to meet with them as quick as possible. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, sir. That's all that I have under Mayor's remarks, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Resolve the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approved minutes, regular meeting held September 3, 2019. 2, approved minutes, special meeting held September 3, 2019 at 6:30 PM regarding interim city manager and executive search firm selection. 3, solicit bids, animal shelter, Phase 2.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Yep.
Your Honor, can we please move number 3, the animal shelter, to the action items? I got questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
all it takes is request, right?
Yep, I agree.
So that will be number 17. So further discussion. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. First item has a cover letter from our city manager, Mr. Koppler. As you may recall, the 25th District Court, like all municipal courts in Michigan, had to bring their operations into compliance with standards established by the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, MIDC. The District Court's plan was approved by MIDC in 2018 and was afforded funding by the state of Michigan to help defray some of the added expenses. 2018, the city entered an agreement with the state to administer the grant funding for fiscal year 2019. The 25th District Court was scheduled to receive $523,910 through this agreement. Due to the fact that the state of Michigan has not adopted a state budget, a funding agreement for fiscal year 2020 has not yet been set to the city for approval. However, to ensure uninterrupted indigent defense services, the state is offering to amend the current grant agreement to allow for unexpended funds from fiscal year 2019 to be used until the budget is adopted. So whereas in 2018, the city of Lincoln Park entered into grant funding with the state of Michigan to assist the 25th District Court in complying with the approved Michigan Indigent Defense Commission compliance plan, and whereas the initial grant agreement was scheduled to end September 30, 2019, and whereas due to the state of Michigan's inability to pass a state budget, it is necessary to amend the current grant funding agreement to allow for the expenditure of unused grant funding from the fiscal year 2019 to ensure the uninterrupted provisions of indigent defense services. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council approve the amendment of the grant agreement by and between the city of Lincoln Park, the state of Michigan, Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, and the Department of Licensing and Regulating Affairs for the purpose of allowing expenditures to be made from unused funds from fiscal year 2019, and be it further resolved that the mayor is authorized to sign on behalf of the city any and all necessary documents to implement this action.
So move.
Support.
Support.
Discussion?
Question, why do we have to, I mean, is there, I guess explain to me where the money, I mean, it says grant, but we have to sign something, so where's that, is that like grant money that was already given to us and they haven't expended it yet? Is that what?
Right, so the initial amount that was applied for and approved through the funding was that 523,000. Actually, with me, it was a little bit less than that, then it was amended and upwards. So right now, it stands at the 523,910. they will not expend all that money in the 12-month period. And I think it's about 300,000-ish right now is where it stands without it being closed out. So what they were going to do is, in the next budget year, they were going to say, okay, you're cleared for 500 and whatever the number is again, but you get to use what remains from this year to fund that as well. And so that would have been a part of that whole agreement that they were going to do. Unfortunately, they're not there yet.
Right.
And so what they're doing, so there isn't any interruption, they're allowing us to use the money that hasn't been spent for that. So this is really
Just
kind of a part of the other agreement that would have been sent had they had their budget.
So basically, we're just taking the money from 19 and moving it to 20.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not going to be out nothing because it was a grant to begin with. It's just that we had authority over it to authorize the expenditure.
Right.
Am I
And
correct?
and it
Okay.
won't
All right.
impact next year
Right.
once they get their act together and
Okay,
there's
once
a
the
budget.
budget, then they'll go back up to the full amount. Okay, thank you. I understand now. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I just want to point out, and I know everybody in this room understands it, but to the people at home, that this is all brought on once again because the state has given us a unfunded mandate, which is against state law. But the state feels that they can do this to us, and we don't have no way to fight back, and so we must go on doing things like this. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, further discussion? Clerk, is this-
Yeah, how do they determine who is indigent? Is there they make 20,000 a year, 30,000 or 40,000, or how do they decide who's going to get that free lawyer?
There are established guidelines. I don't know what they are. It's pretty much anybody walking in basically is considered to be indigent, and then they will sort it out from there.
In other words, if somebody gets a ticket for going through a stop sign and they want to protest it, then,
No, not a stop sign. It'd be for misdemeanors and such. Yep.
there's a limit to it then,
Yep.
sort of. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item, whereas the current city manager will be leaving employment with the city on October 4, 2019. And whereas the mayor and council have appointed John Zeck to serve in the capacity of interim city manager, and that person he will be working 20 to 30 hours per week. Whereas the director of finance and operations during this interim period will be expected to handle additional duties and have more responsibilities to ensure the efficient operations of the city. Whereas the mayor and city council wish to compensate the director of finance and operations for these additional duties and responsibilities during this interim period. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council agree to provide the director of finance and operations a stipend of $2,000 per month, payable the last pay period of the month beginning in October 2019 and lasting through the end of the first month the permanent city manager begins employment with the city of Lincoln Park.
So move for discussion?
Support.
Okay?
How did we come up with the $2,000 amount?
So what I did, I broke it down based upon what a 40-hour work week would be and what we would compensate someone working full-time. So again, it's the $55 rate per hour, and it ends up being like $200 less than what that would have come out. Because I think it would come out like $2,200 a month. So effectively, 55 times 10 minus $200.
If I may,
Right.
her current rate is $55?
No, that's what we're paying the incoming interim manager.
I'm sorry, if you're,
Since he has, during the interview and during our time when we got ready to appoint him, he's going to be here the majority of the time. He's anticipating maybe 4 days, depending on what other meetings he has to attend to. So it just seems that I have no problem giving Lisa, the finance director, some additional monies. But I don't really think it's going to, if he was working 20 hours a week and the other 20 she had to act as city manager, then I understand. But I really think, 100 years ago, we're going back in my old history here with the city. The deputy city clerk got paid an additional fee. It's been a long time. On top of that, when the clerk wasn't there, so that she could cover for the clerk. But it was $3,000 a year, and this is $2,000 a month. It just seems to me, since we're going to get so many hours, that it would be reasonable for $1,000. That's my opinion, $1,000 a month rather than the two. But that's just my opinion.
Who was next?
Well, I was just going to clarify, I guess, through the chair, is that we're already paying, Lisa's already got a job. Obviously, Lisa. The finance director's already got a job. She's working, she's making X per hour, and then we're going to turn around and flip another $55 per hour. I guess I'm confused. Where I come from, you can't do that. It's a little bit, what I'm trying to say is I can see compensation is what I'm getting at, but it would be, you're already there, you're doing a job, and obviously you're going to slide into the second job, but I'm the same way. 2,000 seems, I'm already paying you whatever I'm paying you per hour, and I can bump it up 10 or 15 or $12 more or whatever, but to pay $55 for that, that's just my thought. I don't understand how the cities do it. It just doesn't happen where I used to. I'm going back to what the Mayor Pro Tem says there. I'm going back to where I'm at. There is a money issue. I don't have a problem with that, but I think the 2,000 is a little bit too much when I look at the total pay package and what I'm given. And the fact, yes, she's going to be doing that, but she's also going to be doing her other job that I'm paying. So I'm kind of confused, and that's where I'm at with it. I'm not arguing about there should be compensation. I'm arguing that the dollar amount just seems too high based on my theory. Okay, and I don't want. Sorry.
Well,
No,
yeah.
I'm done. I'm done.
We had, now with Mr. Copker leaving, Mr. Zach is not going to be up to full speed on this. And so Lisa is going to become an integral part of getting Mr. Zach through the rough spots and to continue on doing this. There's going to be additional stresses that are here and some tough decisions that she's going to have to make. And she's going to put in a lot of time doing this. And I just think that is something that we need to compensate her for. And that's where I'm at. Mr. Copper, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, obviously, in the end, it's your decision what to do. What I did was just put a recommendation out there. I tried to come up because, it could easily have been spin a wheel, pick a number, and that's what I put out there. I tried to at least have some rationale why I came up with the number. You may not agree with it, and that's fine. But in the end, I think, we should compensate the employee for doing the work above what her pay grade is. And again, I think if there's a different number, we just have to say what that number is and amend the resolution and go forward.
Through the chair?
Yes.
I agree, that's quite excessive in my opinion. If memory serves me correctly, wasn't she given a major raise back not long ago with the aspect of her filling in for the city manager at that particular time? So at that particular time, wasn't that already included in her compensation package?
Well, it wasn't included that the city manager was leaving.
Well, I just think 2,000 is overly excessive.
If I may, one more. I want everyone to understand, I have no problem with her being paid for the additional work that she's going to have to do. The amount, it just puzzled me. It just threw me or whatever. And I realized that Mr. Zek is going to depend on Lisa to bring him up to speed on some things. But that's going to be done during the normal hours of work. And really, if the rationale was that you figured out, how many hours and whatever based on his salary, I just think it could have been based on her current hourly salary. Anyways, I have no problem with her getting additional. She will be doing additional work. That's all.
Through the chair, Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment if we could. How about $1,000? If there's any support, I'd make an amendment $1,000 per month. Let's see if that walks.
I'll support.
Okay, there's been an amendment to the motion proposed. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was just going to say, I like the amendment. That's all I was going to say, and I can show that when we go for the vote. But that's what I was going to say. I think that's a good amendment. It's kind of alleviates some of my concerns and still gives compensation to somebody who's going to do above and beyond what they're paying. And we're still paying her for the finance job, so it's not like we're paying her nothing. And then we're going to compensate her $250 a week for the X amount of hours. And I think that's fair on both sides, is what I'm trying to say. That's all I want to say. I'm not
Further discussion on the amendment?
discussion.
Clerk, call the roll for the amendment.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
No. Okay,
So the
then
amendment
for the
passed. The
amendment passes, and
Now we have to vote on
so
the
now we vote
amended
on
resolution.
the Resolution as amended.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
So call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right. Next item that we have is also as a cover letter from our city manager, due to the resignation of the city manager, necessary to engage a firm to conduct a search for Lincoln Park's next city manager. City recently solicited for recruitment services and received 5 proposals, 4 of which complied with bid specifications. The 4 firms and prices were GovHR USA, and total expected cost of $20,000. Amy Cell Talent, total expected $15,000. Management Partners, total expected cost of $26,000, and Novak Consulting Group for a total expected cost of $25,400. So whereas the city solicited for proposals from qualified companies to conduct a search for the position of city manager, and whereas on September 4, 2019, proposals were opened and 4 companies complied with the provided specifications to be considered for the search process. And whereas on September 10, 2019, a committee consisting of members of council and city staff met with the 4 companies to evaluate their proposals, their experience, and their abilities. And whereas, based on the proposals submitted and the resulting interviews of the 4 companies, the evaluation committee recommends GovHR USA be selected to conduct the search for the position of city manager for the city of Lincoln Park. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council select GovHR USA to conduct the search for the position of city manager for the city of Lincoln Park for a recruitment fee not to exceed $14,000, recruitment expenses not to exceed $3,500, and advertising fees not to exceed $2,500. And be it further resolved that mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign on behalf of the city any necessary contracts to implement this action.
So move.
Support.
Discussion?
Could real quick. We did have the interview of the different firms last week, and I won't speak for any of the council members that were there as part of it, but I felt that there's no doubt that GovHR did the best job in terms of presenting the services that they'd be able to provide, and what the expectations of their services should be. I will say that I've called the references. I've gotten some feedback. There's still one that won't return my phone call, but it's kind of what I expected. It's been very overwhelmingly supportive of what their services are, and that they would use them again. Again, I think they'll do a very good job for the city. And under my report, I'm going to ask a question about key stakeholders, if you have any that you want to get them to interview, but I'll stop there at that point. And I don't know, again, if any of the interview committee, which was this whole side over here, wants to speak about it.
Through the chair, I can't say any more than the city manager said. I was very impressed. We interviewed him, and the gentleman was very knowledgeable. He had been there, done that. He would be the, what do you call it, the point person? The lead person, thank you. And it was very impressive, and I think he was willing to start as soon as we had decided after the interview, if he was picked, they could start right away so we can get going on this, so we don't have to wait any longer than that. And not that the other ones couldn't, but he just seemed to be a lot more experienced or knowledgeable of what we needed and how it's done and so on and so forth. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Very good.
Through the chair?
Yes, sir.
I just have a couple questions. I know where it says the recruitment fee will not exceed $14,000, so that means it could be less? And then it says the recruitment expenses not to exceed $3,500, could that be less? And then it says advertising fees not to exceed $2,500, could that be less? Because their total was $20,000.
So the recruitment fee of $14,000 is what the number's going to be. It won't exceed that. One of the things that I didn't mention, I know the council members that were in the interview, this was discussed, but as part of the bid that we put out there, we required them to provide a 12-month guarantee. So if for some reason in the 12-month period that whoever is recruited leaves, for whatever reason, they will come back and redo the search for free, except for expenses. So you're getting a guarantee or warranty to a certain degree on that position for a year. And the reality is that they'll probably go beyond a year. Probably no more than 2 years, but they may go beyond that. The expenses could be less than that, because that is dependent upon a lot of the different things, for instance, and I can't remember if this was one of the ones that they included the background checks as part of the expenses. So, for instance, if I think they had done X amount of background checks, so if you do 5 background checks, you're good, but if you want to do 10, that may cause that to be adjusted. But again, I'm putting it in there based upon what they said in their bid, that it shouldn't exceed the $3,500. And with the advertising, pretty sure that it's not going to exceed the $2,500. But again, if you have to go out again for some reason, it could exceed that. And so they'd have to come back and you'd have to adjust that.
I went online, I did check all the firms that were involved, and I know Amy Sell was in Ypsilanti, local company, and they were $5,000 cheaper. So I do respect my colleagues for going out and researching, and that's all I have.
And I'll just say that, there was a lot of discussion about the services that they could provide. One of, I think, and I won't speak for them, but I think I can on this one, is that they really have not done a lot of city manager searches. And there was a little bit of concern when you look at that versus GovHR, who, that's one of their main things that they do. And the individual, has had a number of searches himself in the state of Michigan. So I think there was a little bit more comfort level with that.
Right, if I may just add, he too was a former city manager.
Mr.
So
V.
he understands that whole situation.
And if I could, through the chair, I want to assure the other members who weren't there, we all listened, and then we all voted privately, and then went back and looked, and all of us came to the same conclusions. The group that you asked about, we all liked her, but they didn't have a lot of experience backing them. So that's why really personally was my problem. And they didn't have any experience in the Michigan, this area, which was a big problem for me.
Okay.
Thank
Through
you.
the chair, if I may. Matt, you happened to mention too that we may get reimbursed for this?
Oh, yeah. So there is a possibility. I know the mayor had met with me and representatives from Treasury. They have made a overture saying that they would consider reimbursing some of this cost. They haven't actually come out and say what the number is, but I did have a conversation with them again last Wednesday. And once you have this selection, I'm going to reach out to them again and make the official request.
Perfect.
Hurry.
Yes.
Further discussion? call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes, and I want to thank the committee for all the time you put into this. Thank you.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Thanks to the committee, and I will vote yes. Thank you.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Doreen Christian, a Director of the Community Planning and Development, Parks and Recreation. In background, the city acquired 1534 Wilson from the county in February 2017. House was first slated for demolition, but has been determined that it can be renovated. The home will then be put up for sale to low to moderate income family according to HUD rules. Proceeds from the sale will come back to the CDBG program as program income. Bids were solicited and opened on August 21st, as recommended by John Myers and Doreen Christian, that Land Ho be awarded the bid as the lowest bidder that meets all qualifications. Their bid is at $81,100. Other bidders were Joseph Contractor Incorporated at total cost $82,900. Qualified Construction at $88,109. Dennis Building at $89,562. Geo Pastor and Sons at $118,290. Mando Construction at $120,545. So whereas the city acquired 1534 Wilson from the county in February 2017, and whereas bids were solicited to renovate the property and opened on August 21st, 2019, therefore be it resolved that Land Ho be awarded the bid for the renovation of 1534 Wilson in the amount of $81,100 as they are the lowest bidder that meets all qualifications. Funds to come from account number 24939-721 HIP. Be it further resolved that during Christian, CDBG Director is authorized to sign all necessary documents.
So move
Support.
with a comment, if I may.
So discussion? Yes.
The $81,000 really threw me. But this is a 3-bedroom brick home, and it needed everything from the roof on down or whatever. And after I had a discussion with Doreen about this, she really feels that we will be able to sell this house for more than the $81,000 or whatever. But it just, it was such a large amount, it really just kind of threw me. But anyways, 3-bedroom brick home, and she said it's in a very nice area or whatever, so I have no problem.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
I agree with Councilwoman Breeden. $81,000 is a lot of money to renovate, but I did drive by the house, and it's, I hope we can sell it for more.
Further discussion?
I'd like to say that the same thing. I seen that amount and I thought, no way. And I drove through the neighborhood and I think the neighborhood would sell a house for that. So,
Through the chair, or plus.
or plus.
I don't think we can really make money. We just need our money through the chair.
Yeah.
We're not in the business of making money.
No, but we got to cover our other expenses besides that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes, sir.
there is decorum how you do this. This isn't open conversation, so please. Is there any further discussion on this? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from John Kazoo, Director of the Department of Public Services and Engineering. The Department of Public Service, on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park, put out bid and has received the bid for the HVAC for DPS Supervisor's Office Break Room and Locker Room project. The lowest and only bid for this project is Flow Air Heating and Cooling of Southgate. So, resolve that Mayor and City Council hereby award HVAC for the DPS Supervisor's Office Break Room and Locker Room as submitted for any and all work not to exceed $7,595. Be it further resolved that the mayor and council authorize the funds to be taken from capital account 410-001-983000 BG02.
So move.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
I have a comment. We need to name the company in the body of the resolution. We need to state who it was awarded to.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. So Flow Air Heating and Cooling Incorporated would be added to the resolution. Is that good with the mover and supporter?
Good with me.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have a question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Being that they're going to install, obviously, air conditioning also, do we have, is there a warranty for parts and labor, being that probably when they do this, we're not going to use the air until next year?
Okay. Mr. Kazoo, if you would enlighten us?
Mayor and Council, if you look at the following page, it does give us the warranties on the following page. I'm sorry, it does not. I will find out, but my recollection was that it was, I believe, I'll have to get back with you exactly, but there is warranty, yes. But I can't tell you exactly what it is right this second.
And that just brings me, Your Honor, if I could, to another comment about warranties. When we go out to bid, if these companies have warranties on, I'd like to see them on the proposals.
And there should be. My mistake.
City manager is making a notation of that for future events. So, any further discussion on this? Hearing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Parkinson,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also has a cover letter from John Kazoo. In background, Hennessy Engineers Incorporated, on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park DPS, solicited quotes for the 2019 road reconstruction program and water main replacement. Phase 2 replacement, full replacement of lead water services at 6 known homes on White Street. City of Lincoln Park received 2 quotes for this project, with the low quotation being from D&D Water and Sewer Company of Canton, Michigan, with a quote amount of $27,000 for the 2019 road reconstruction program and water main replacement Phase 2 full replacement of water lead services. Project includes complete replacement into the homes of the known lead services to 1105 White, 1165 White, 1171 White, 1175 White, 1181 White, and 1185 White Street. The bids received were GV Cement Contracting Company, total cost of $37,605, and then the D&D Water and Sewer Company for a total cost of $27,000. So resolved that the mayor and city council hereby award the 2019 road reconstruction program and water main replacement Phase 2 full replacement of lead water services for amount of $27,000 and any additional service lead replacement at $4,500 each to D&D Water and Sewer Company of Canton, Michigan as submitted. Resolved that the mayor and council authorize the funds to be taken from capital account 420-001-983-000 WS10.
So moved.
Support.
In discussion, is this going to require contract documents to be signed, or? What's that?
I don't know.
John Hennessy from Hennessy Engineers.
Through the mayor, we would use our conventional contract documents that we've used for all of our construction projects. Some of the things would not be relevant, obviously, a bid bond and such like that, because that's already put in place, but it would put together warranty and maintenance and guarantee bonds and things that we would have through there, as we have with all of our projects.
Okay.
Question through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Could John answer the fact that why we're doing this? Because I know it says a little bit, so the people at home know why we're doing this, as far as the full replacements from the stop box all the way to inside the house. I mean, a little background about the state's
Certainly.
mandate. I guess what I'm asking, John, if you could explain, being your engineer.
We've had many conversations about this, I know, through the mayor and council. The state of Michigan has required a full inventory of lead lines, lead and galvanized lines. And historically, communities have been responsible from the water main to what's referred to as the stop box in your front lawn. That's where you turn the water on and off for the community. From the stop box to the house is considered the private property and the homeowner's responsibility. They have put forth legislation to require that the lead line is, the lead lead is removed all the way into the house, essentially to where the water meter is in that area through there. And we have to catalog, there are a series of dates that we have to adhere to that are out there quite a bit, 20 years in essence, but we have to have an inventory within 2 years of what we think the number is. Within 5 years, we have to have an accurate full description number of what they're doing. And so what we're doing is, with the city, is being proactive. And once we come across those with new projects, we're doing them as we see them to lessen the burden. But this is another unfunded mandate that is raising quite a bit of problems with a number of communities. And I should say, it has been litigated by a number of large communities and even Great Lakes Water Authority. And it has lost in court. And so its legislation, as it stands today, is going to be required.
Thank you.
Anything further discussion?
To the mayor and council, additional couple of items. These lead service leads that have been outlined on paper, those are the known lead service leads that we have been able to recover off of 3x5 cards when these lead services were installed back in the time that the homes were built. So these 3x5 cards are from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. What we may also find is discovery of added lead service lines while out installing the water main. That's why we have a unit rate per additional home. Now that, as Mr. Hennessy said earlier, we now have to go into the homes, do right up to the meter. And if we find that some homes we cannot get into by virtue of the state S license required by me or under my ownership, we cannot leave that lead line in place. And if the homeowner does not allow us into the home, eventually we may have to turn off the water until they allow us in to change out that service lead. That was an informational packet that was put into each of your mailboxes, I'm going to guess about 4 weeks ago.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
John, and if they don't let you in, that's holding up the project?
No, I would anticipate through Mr. Hennessy's company, they would proceed with the project, but we would not be able to provide that individual home with water. And if the construction company was complete and moved on to their next project and they had to come back, yes, it would hold it up.
Your Honor, if I may.
But we're getting far afield from what the actual amendment that we're talking about, the resolution that we're talking about. Right? Because he's going in and he's talking about different lead line things that we may have to do in the future, right?
Well, I have questions about this company, being that this is our first time doing this.
Okay. John? Either or both?
What-
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. In your letter, you stated that they've done this in Garden City.
That's correct.
So, and the residents there were happy with
Yeah, we've
the
been very
turnout?
happy. Why we went and got another quote is we thought that the quote was a little high for the subcontractor for the water line project. It's not their primary work. They would sub it out. The sub that they particularly found was a high quote, and we were getting substantially quite a bit less in a neighboring community that we work with. So in essence, we contacted them and asked them if they would hold their prices, and they've been the lowest price we've seen to date in all the communities that we've seen. That's in the range of about 5,000 to 5,500, and they're about 10 to 15% underneath that. And we've been very satisfied with their work. They've done a good job with the residents in working with them time frame wise, so that it's convenient for the residents and things along those lines.
I think that's important to assure the resident that they're going to get a good job.
That's correct. Yep.
Thank you.
And they're going to get a good improvement over, right?
They're going to get a good improvement through there. It's,
Deadlines before.
yeah, that's correct, and it's going to be
Having a lead line.
brand new leads all the way to their house through there, which would
And
be
having a lead line in my house, I can understand that, we'd welcome that to come in.
that's correct. It's a real benefit.
Okay. So further discussion?
I'm good, thank you.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also from John Kazoo, our Director of the DPS. NEC Engineers Incorporated assisted the city with submitting a project plan in June 2019 to the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, or EGLE, to be considered for a low-interest Clean Water State Revolving Fund, SRF loan to complete cured-in-place pipe lining installations throughout the city's sanitary sewer system. EGLE released the list of communities that have projects within findable range. The city of Lincoln Park was one of the communities that are within the fundable range for the 2020 construction season. In order to secure the loan and start construction, several milestones must be met. First milestone that must be met is the development of draft plans and specifications by October 2019. And in order to meet this deadline, Hennessy Engineers Incorporated has attached their proposal for design and bidding services. Resolved that the mayor and city council award the design and bidding services for the 2020 Clean Water State Revolving Fund Sewer Rehabilitation Program to Hennessy Engineers Incorporated for a total cost not to exceed $10,500 to come from sewer engineering account 592-527-821000.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding.
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Ready then. Okay, whereas the mayor and council wish to allow the Board of Review to have alternate members in case of absence or conflict of interest. Now therefore be it resolved that an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park by adding the following subsection C, alternate members to Chapter 254, Section .01, Board of Review, be given its first and second reading. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the codified ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park be amended by adding a new subsection C, alternate members to Chapter 254, Section .01 as follows. C, alternate members. The City Council may appoint not more than 2 alternate members to the Board of Review for the same term as regular members. 1, each alternate member shall meet all the same qualifications as a regular member. 2, alternate members shall be called to perform the duties of a regular member in the absence of any regular member or for the purpose of reaching a decision in issues protested in which a regular member has abstained for reasons of a conflict of interest.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Whereas the Hearing Board on Dangerous Buildings has made a finding and determination that the structure located at 552 Emmons, Lincoln Park, case number DBB 19-12, is a dangerous building under Ordinance 1444 and issued its order that the structure be demolished immediately. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 1444 of the Lincoln Park Municipal Code, the Hearing Board on Dangerous Buildings has filed a report of its finding and a copy of its order with the council and has requested the council take necessary action to demolish the structure. Whereas the owners and/or other parties of interest have neglected to comply with said order and the subject structure has not been made safe or demolished. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Sections 1444.08 of the Lincoln Park Municipal Code, the council hereby establishes the date of October 7, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the ordinary order of council business shall permit, as the date and time for a hearing to review the findings and order of the said hearing board, at which hearings the owners or parties of interest shall be given the opportunity to show cause why the building should not be demolished. The building superintendent is directed to give notice as required by ordinance to the owner or parties of interest of such hearing date.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Through the chair? I'm thrilled, John. This house is burned out. It has been boarded up, and people have taken down the boards, and it had to be reboarded up and everything else, and it has gone on long enough. He thought the owners of the property were going to come through and bring it up to code or put some money in it. It did not work out, and it's long overdue, and I really appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Doreen Christian, Director of the Office of Community Planning and Development. In background, HUD regulations state that the citizen participation plan must provide for at least 2 public hearings per year to obtain residents' views and to respond to proposals and questions to be conducted at a minimum of 2 different stages of the program year. The first public hearing is held when the applications were taken for the annual action plan. This will qualify for the second. So whereas HUD regulations state that we must hold 2 public hearings per year at different stages of the program year to obtain residents' views. Therefore, be it resolved that a public hearing to be set for October 7th during the course of the regular council meeting to review the accomplishments of the CDBG program for the 2018-19 year and to allow for citizens' communication.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is resolved that the mayor and council schedule a study session to discuss Chapter 1476 signs of the codified codes of the city of Lincoln Park for October 7, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the John A. Aloisi Council Chambers, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So moved. Oh, sorry. Support.
Okay, discussion?
Yes, question through the city manager, I guess, through the chair. Can we get a packet? We asked for recommendations and discussions. Can we get that packet before the study session so we can review it?
Yep.
Council and, okay, that's all I'm asking.
And through the chair, I've said before, if we have this kind of study session, I'd like a notice to go out to business owners, and can we see that that is done?
Who's going to say no?
Is there further discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from our Chief of Police, Raymond Waters. It's in reference to the Shared Information Network Consortium. The police department is currently a part of the SMIA network that is hosted in Southgate. The current SMIA consortium includes Lincoln Park, Southgate, Riverviews, Wyandotte, and Allen Park. In February 2019, it was discovered that our current computer network, OSSI, was bought out by Central Square. Central Square has decided that because the OSSI system was so outdated, they were no longer be making any updates to it, and we're slowly discontinuing the network. The SMIA consortium looked at several companies and options before selecting the Tyler network. Tyler is the most cost-friendly network and comes recommended by other local agencies. City of Brownstown, Flat Rock, Gibraltar, Grosseal, Riverview, Rockwood, Trent, and Woodhaven all use the Tyler network. All 5 SMIA members would dissolve the consortium and join the SINC consortium with the other listed agencies. Joining the SINC consortium will provide an increased information sharing network that will assist Lincoln Park Police Department and eventually result in cost savings. So whereas the Lincoln Park Police Department is currently a member of the SMIA consortium, which consists of the cities of Allen Park, Lincoln Park, River Rouge, Southgate, and Wyandotte, consortium is being dissolved due to the computer network software OSSI being discontinued. Be resolved that the Mayor and Council authorize the Lincoln Park Police Department to join the Shared Information Network Consortium, SINC, which will consist of the cities of Brownstown, Flat Rock, Gibraltar, Grosseal, Riverview, Rockwood, Trenton, Woodhaven, and all the current members of the SMIA consortium. Be resolved funds to join the SINC consortium to come from the Police Department's computer maintenance account 101-305-934C.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question. I'm sorry.
If I could real quick, I was asked a question prior to the meeting about this, and I may have been mistaken as I'm looking through this. The question was, how was the funding determined, the different levels? And if you go back to the information that's provided under Schedule D, it talks about the voting and fiduciary commitment. It would appear, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, it's based upon the total number of manpower.
Correct.
So it's not population like originally we thought. It was based upon the manpower of the departments.
Okay, one more question to the chair for Matt. Before the council meeting, we said it was going to come from forfeiture.
Yeah, so we had actually had known about something going. We didn't know what the numbers were. So we did put money into the forfeiture account to do this. I don't know, I can't remember if this is going to cover everything or if we have to make an additional appropriation. But we decided to spend it out of the forfeiture account rather than the general fund.
But the resolution says computer maintenance account.
Yep.
So just have to be amended for forfeiture.
Yep.
So we,
Okay, so it should be the forfeiture
Forfeiture account, correct.
Okay, is that good with the mover and supporter?
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Okay. Then it'll be so amended to funds to be coming from the forfeiture account, and we'll get the numbers later. Thank you. Anything further discussion?
Just a quick question to the chair. Chief, are you our representative then? Because.
Yes.
Okay, that's just point of information. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anything further? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Breeding?
yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also has a cover letter from the Chief of Police Waters. And attending at-scene traffic crash investigation school. At-scene traffic crash investigation training is a combination of classroom instruction and outside field activities to ensure officers are prepared to properly identify, measure, and interpret traffic crash scene evidence and document the investigation for courtroom presentation. Upon completion of this course, Sergeant Stocco will have a working knowledge of proper photography methods, be able to correctly complete a scene sketch, record roadway and evidence measurements, create accurate scale diagrams, perform detailed vehicle inspections, and properly interpret tire marks and gouges in the roadway. Sergeant Stock will also be instructed on the laws of physics and understand the basic mathematical equations used to calculate vehicle speeds. So resolved that the mayor and council authorize Sergeant Jeffrey Stocco to attend the at-scene traffic crash investigation school being held at the Wayne County Community College in Taylor, Michigan from Monday, September 30, 2019 through Friday, October 11, 2019. The cost of the class is $600. A police department vehicle will be used and the city travel policy will be followed. Be it further resolved, the funds for the seminar to come from the police department's MCOLS training fund account 101-000-370 PT.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question through the chair.
Yep.
Should we be sending more than one officer, being this is, or, I mean, because of the course, I mean, so we have more officers trained, and because we get a lot of, unfortunately, incidents, I guess that's the question I asked.
So Sergeant Stocco, by going to this, will be joining our downriver crash team. Currently, when we have an incident like this, we would call out the crash team to help us investigate it. Through retirements and some other people moving around, the crash team has shrunk down. So each department in the downriver mutual aid is trying to throw at least one officer into it.
Okay, thank you. That explained that. Nancy, thank you very much.
Your Honor, through the chair, will this cause any cost for overtime or any other costs?
No overtime will be cost for it.
Okay, anything further? Thank you, Chief. The clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is from Fire Chief Martin. Whereas the Fire Chief is requesting permission to attend the 2019 Michigan Emergency Management Association's annual conference being held in Bel Air, Michigan, October 7th through the 9th. And whereas the attendance at the annual conference is a requirement for the professional emergency manager credential required by the fire chief's contract. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Lincoln Park approve the training recommendation for the fire chief to attend the 2019 Michigan Emergency Management Association's annual conference, October 7th through the 9th, to avoid a lapse in the professional emergency management certification.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Aha. This next item has a cover letter from our city clerk, Carrie Kerr. Purpose of this resolution is to bring the city into compliance with Public Act 112 of 2017. This Public Act regulates charitable solicitations on the local roads. Some of the items addressed with the Public Act are the necessity to have liability insurance, wear safety apparel, and not to be in a work zone, and to be a nonprofit group under IRS Code 501C. So resolved that the mayor and council hereby adopt a policy regarding charitable solicitations on the roadway within the city of Lincoln Park as directed by Public Act 112 of 2017.
So moved.
Support. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On these regulations where you have the insurance policy, we need to, I believe, we need to include that naming the city, holding us harmless. You know, that added language should have been part of it or whatever, so that we're covered.
Which this
Want an amendment?
That makes sense. Well, that'll be part of the policy.
Yeah, part of the
Right.
policy. It's not necessarily part of the resolution.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I add something here just for the benefit of council? This is not going to preclude beggars, which the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals said don't need insurance. They just can't get out and mingle in traffic, or if they do, it's at their own risk. So just so you know, it won't stop the famous sights we see along the way.
Thank you, sir.
And through the chair, and obviously,
Yes.
we can't be sued or anybody because we don't have control over that, right? In other words, even though we're
Oh, no.
within our jurisdiction, you know what I'm saying? Okay, thank you.
No, we're
That's-
not going to ticket them, and
They can't be sued. Okay,
Right.
thanks. Thank you.
Fair trade.
Okay.
Thanks.
So anything further here? All right, Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, resolved that special event permit number 16 be approved for the Lincoln Park Historical Museum to hold a flea art market at the Historical Museum, 1335 Southfield Road, on September 21, 2019, from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Application filed, fee paid.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Yep. Next item is, was number 3 on the consent agenda. It has a cover letter from our city manager, Mr. Kopler. Staff has been working on a bid package for the Phase 2 expansion for the Lincoln Park Animal Shelter. The bid plan is to request design build services for 2 alternatives, a 1,000-foot addition and a 1,500-foot addition. Selection of the alternative will be based upon which will fit within the available funds. The 1,500-foot is preferable to address long-term future growth of the shelter, but 1,000-foot will meeting these short-term needs. So whereas the city wishes to expand the existing animal shelter, and whereas the mayor and council wish to bid the design and build of the addition to the animal shelter, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize the advertising for and acceptance of sealed proposals for design build services for the addition to the animal shelter.
So move.
Support?
Okay. Discussion?
Yes, I have a couple questions, Your Honor.
Sure.
I don't want to take anything for granted. This is going to be ADA standards on the addition.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
And
And it includes a restroom.
thank you. That was gonna be my next question. What I see here is, and I see it here,
Yeah.
it says restroom, okay.
Yeah. And in both concepts, the 1,000 square foot and the 1,500, they'll be there.
Okay. Now, I know I'm not an expert in this, but I'm looking at the different drawings, and I think on only this one, I see a door on the end. On the other ones, I don't, and that would be a concern for me to have a fire exit, an
Yeah.
emergency exit there.
Yeah.
So, just,
Yep, good catch.
Through the chair.
And I think just real quick, I had conversations about an actual,
Latch?
what? Well, escape hatch, no, not for the dogs. A garage door, so they could load things in and out of there.
yeah,
So maybe that was what got lost in the translation of this.
yeah, that would be perfect. And let me make sure that was it. Yep, that's it.
Okay, Councilman?
Okay, this is not going to be another modular, and it's going to be a stick-built building?
Yes. Yeah, this is the design build, obviously it's going to let the person that's bidding on it dictate what the construction is, but we would like to see it be of a steel-type construction.
Steel, no masonry?
Right.
Thank you.
Through the chair?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Would it be more economical sound just to go with the 1,500 square foot and just have one drawing rather than have 2 drawings? Would that cost additional money to have 2 drawings drawn up, 1,000 foot and 15 foot?
Yeah, no, it won't cost us, obviously, for the design package itself, it would cost a little bit more to have 2 designs, but in the bid package, it won't, if that makes sense. It's not going to cost us more in the bid, but as part of putting this together. And again, we started out with a larger concept to begin with, but again, I wanted to make sure that when we bid this out, so there isn't any delay, if for some reason, we don't get the pricing that we want to get, but we need to get some of the features that are in the 1,000 square foot. And then you can look at then Phase 3, which I believe you see, these aren't very well marked, and I apologize for that. Phase 3 would be future kennel space. So at that point, if you go to the next phase, work it in as part of the budget, you would have that ability to do additional square footage. So this kind of gives you the flexibility. If it comes in above what we think it's going to come in, you can still get the needed space done in that 1,000 foot and then come back the next year for phase 3.
Thank you. Anything further?
Just a couple of questions about making it through the chair. Do you have some timing on this? Because, this is already September. I mean, you're leaving, so with all due respect, so we can kind of...
Yeah, I'm hoping within the next week we'll have the bid package done and out.
Okay, all right. And I have to agree with Councilman Carlos over there, is that I'd rather, my brother is the bigger one and just get it done, because piecemealing it's going to be a nightmare. And I know it's cost and I know everything else, but, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'd like to lean, if we get the drawings, that if it doesn't take much time to get it going and we can pick it and we can go forward and get it started, because I don't know if we're going to be able to do it this year, and we're still using an outhouse and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the animals are, it was a temporary thing we had to do at the last minute, but it's sufficed. But I'm just saying there's a certain urgency is what I'm trying to get at,
I agree.
without messing it up by going too fast.
Yeah, and
That's all.
that's again, I'm trying to give you flexibility to keep it moving along, because, the worst case scenario is it comes in, you bid just one package and it's way too much, and then you're wrangling about what you need to do. This will give you, I think, two really good options. I'm very hopeful that the 1,500 square foot will come in where you need it to come in, but if for some chance that doesn't work, you're going to be prepared to go forward with that.
Okay, I'm just anxious to get this thing, because we've had some delays, and that's all. I just want to make that, if we could move it forward.
And in terms of going
That's all.
forward, let me just say that the chief has been brought totally up to speed. He's excited about, the prospects of leading this project going forward, and he is ready to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wonderful. Anything further? Whoever's...
Hi, Joyce Murray. Just for everybody watching and for those of us that don't have the packets, what exactly is going to be included in this 1,000 or 1,500 square feet? Because a lot of people have been asking about the cat portion. Is that going to be in it? Is this going to be all administrative area? So what exactly is it that we're building?
I'm going to go based upon the 1,000 square foot, because I think pretty much the only difference is the square footage for each of the rooms, if I'm not mistaken. I can find that here. But, there's going to be a lobby area, a reception area, restrooms, conference area, kitchen kind of area. It's, I think, a misnomer, but it's kind of a break room maybe, an adoption room, I think I said an office, medical storage, prep area, mechanical laundry area, food storage, prep area, quarantine area. The 1,500 square foot, I think, adds a little bit more office space and storage. There is space, and it does say cat room on there, but I think, that's a conversation that mayor and council and staff have to have going forward with that, because there are, differing points of view on whether to do that or not. And so I think there will be space, but the policy is going to have to be something that mayor and council ultimately makes that decision.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair.
We'll hear from, come on up. You were waiting, and then we'll go back.
Reverend Tracy Dupre, Joyce pretty much covered my questions, other than the fact that it was originally stated that we would eventually have a cat area. And my question is that is being questioned, whether or not we're going to have a cat area? Or is that not the question that we're talking about is going to be discussed?
From what I understand, the city manager said that there is going to be space that's available, and it's going to be up to mayor and council how that space is going to be utilized.
In both of the models, the 1,000 square foot and the 1,500 square foot? Okay,
That's
thank
correct.
you. And just a question, because I do animal rescue, I do dog rescue. but people come to me with cats every single day. What are we doing with the stray cats now? Because there's so many in my neighborhood. I literally sit on my porch and they walk up.
That's not a part of what we're talking about now that's for this resolution. You're welcome to come up during citizens' communications. But this is specifically
you.
only for this proposal. There's a further discussion, Councilman.
Yes. I've seen buildings being built. It doesn't cost twice as much to make the building twice as large. So it's cheaper to add on now than to worry about later. So if you think about it, you got an end wall, and that's going to be the same. You got 2 walls and a roof to expand it. So you're going to save a lot of money by just expanding the building now.
Okay, well, the drawing should come back then showing that, I mean, the results, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, okay. There's further discussion on this? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?
Yes. Resolved that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. 25th District Court, July/August 2019, MIDC expense reimbursed, $26,079.18. Dunn River Utility Wastewater Authority, July 2019 sewage usage user fee, $116,427.71. DTE Energy, July/August 2019 electric and gas, $118,849.63. GV Cement Contracting, 2019 concrete reconstruction, $292,840.98. Hennessy Engineers Incorporated, August 2019 DWSD TAC and AWG meeting, SAW grant sewer cleaning and televising, City Hall roof, SRF, local agency pavement warranty, Emmons resurfacing, water main replacement, sewer bulkhead repair, road reconstruction, asphalt resurfacing, concrete sectioning, joint and crack sealing, road bond reconstruction, road bond asphalt resurfacing, utility concrete pavement and repair programs, $135,772.26. HMC LLC, 2019 concrete reconstruction, asphalt resurfacing, and utility pavement repair programs, $389,681.42. Huntington National Bank, semi-annual interest due, 2010 LTGO, $44,334.39. Hutch Paving, 2019 road asphalt resurfacing program, $161,288.30. JB Contractors Incorporated, 2019 sidewalk repair program, $40,967.15. MERS, August 2019 defined benefit, $201,566.89. Michigan Municipal Liability, 2019-2020 liability premium, $708,088. City of Riverview, July 2019 dumping services, $30,872.83.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
I have a couple corrections, Your Honor. If we could match up the payables journal with the DTE Energy and the Huntington National Bank.
Bless you.
There are differences there. The payables journal, page 17, for the DTE vendor total was $122,049.10. And then the payables journal, page 30, for Huntington National Bank vendor total was $44,459.39.
It's 334.
I speak. So those were actually run on separate checks, those two differences. So because they were separate checks, they're really not required to be on the 25, and that's why they didn't appear on the resolution. If you want to amend it and put it on there, that's fine, but that's why they were not included, because the payables report that we run to proof against the over 25 did not include them because they weren't over 25. They were on separate runs. So.
Payables journal.
Well, the journal and the warrant report are two different things, so that's why, yeah. So
Okay.
if you want to amend it, I can give you the amounts.
Yeah, I'd like to see it amended.
Okay.
Ready, Carrie? Okay. DTE should be 122,049.10. And then Huntington is 44,459.39.
Is that good with the mover and supporter?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good. Further,
Thank you,
anything
Lisa.
further on this? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Now we come to Mr. Copler with your final city manager report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
For us.
Good evening to everyone. I just had a few items I wanted to bring to your attention. First, going back to the selection of GovHR, I sent out, I think, to everyone that they are requesting a list from me tomorrow of stakeholders within the community that you would like to see them meet with and get input as to what the next city manager. You know, the easy one that comes to mind is like the school superintendent. But is there anybody else that you would like to see them discuss, you know, what the next manager's qualities should be?
Through the chair, I'd like to see them reach out to the pastors and stuff, Kara Hildebrandt and all the pastoral association, because they're part of, I mean, it would be nice because they're going to be interacting with the community and they interact with the community on a regular basis. So that's one group that I can think of. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, that's all I have right now.
I would say the service clubs also, but most of those representatives are
on there.
Are here.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, I would say the DDA director, but since he's not here, the DDA themselves, maybe the EDC as well.
Chairpersons. Commerce Business Association.
Yeah. Through the chair, maybe the city commissions, like the recreation, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing if that would be appropriate or not, or too much. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if that's.
Well, more information the better.
I'm just, like I say, it might be get too large, but I'd throw that out because they are commissions that are sitting and standing, and they do, again, interact with the community, and it would be something to, if that's, just throwing that out, just whatever.
I'd definitely say the City Improvement Commission,
Yeah.
who doesn't have a chairman right now and don't have enough members for a meeting, but, you know.
There's
something
enough
needs to
members
be-
for a meeting. There are. All of them have to be present, but there's enough members for a meeting. I'm a member of that, but I'm not listed on the sheets that are handed out.
Maybe
so
that's what the
where
problem is,
that's where
okay.
that comes in.
I'm thinking through the chair, I mean, wouldn't this firm that we're paying, shouldn't they know who to reach out to?
Well, they have a understanding, but they want to make sure that if there's someone that you have lines up with, you know, what they have.
I
Just-
understand.
Yeah. Okay, I mean,
And
that's good.
When do you need this information by?
They would like it tomorrow.
Oh,
in the
okay,
morning.
but, so overnight, if
Yeah.
anyone thinks of anything
Yep.
that
And-
additional should be on there.
And I think, you know, if something comes up, you know, closer, it's just they want to be able to start reaching out and scheduling their time and make it, you know, effective when they're here. Because it's probably going to be at the same time that they're going to be meeting with the department directors and then ultimately mayor and council as well. So they just want to have it all laid out the best as possible. But, okay. And I will talk to them tomorrow, and if they have any ideas that, you know, hey, you missed this person, we can add that as well. But again, they wanted me to ask that question before they got here. Thank you. Okay. That's one. Number two is I handed out before the meeting the answers to questions that was submitted to DTE. Their representative is going to be here on October 7th at that meeting to kind of go over that. I think hopefully they've answered the questions. If not, they'll be prepared to do the follow-ups and get more in detail. I know there were a couple of the questions when I was speaking with the representative that she felt that to elaborate more without being here to explain what her elaborate information was, it might cause more confusion. So I think she's going to have additional information to some of those questions that were asked, but she will be here on October 7th.
If I may, through the chair, for the city manager. October 7th, it's going to be a busy meeting. And we have a public hearing, and we have a dangerous building. I know you have. And a dangerous building public hearing in CDBG.
I like that.
Anyone else? I mean, I think that's like overdoing it or whatever, to have it during public comment or whatever, since we have all these public hearings and everything.
We'll be fine.
And we have a new poor guy. Okay.
He won't be here either, that meeting.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, free for all.
We'll make it through.
Well, I hate to bring up number 2 or the number 3 I had here then. The third thing is the request from our Labor Council to have a closed session prior to the special session.
I can deal with that one.
So in talking with him, he's available at 5:15 that evening. I know it's kind of close for some of you. Usually we try to get those no earlier than 5:30. But the two subjects would be talking about any of the collective bargaining agreements that they've been working on, as well as an upcoming arbitration. Wanted to talk to you about that as well. So,
What time is we're scheduled for a 6:30 meeting, right?
we have the sign ordinance review at 6:30, so this would be at 5:15.
I'm good with it.
Are you doing a resolution for that? So
Yeah, do we have a closed session for
Special
negotiations,
meeting. Yeah.
special meetings at 5:15 on
October
October
7th.
7th?
Oh, sorry, Megan.
You're going to move on it?
I'll
You're
move
going to
on it,
second
yeah.
it?
I'm sorry, I didn't, yeah, I was waiting for.
That works out.
I'll move on, yeah.
Would you
All
like me to
right,
call the roll?
please.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Reading?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Salcido?
No.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Thank you. The next topic, I had a conversation, or actually an email exchange with the council member that would like to schedule with mayor and council a study session to talk about park maintenance. Again, I think October 7th probably is not the ideal night to do that. But 4 o'clock is a good start, maybe.
I'm going to sleep in bed.
But again, I think I understand what the issues are that he would like to talk about, and I think it's a worthwhile discussion to start shaping what, for the budget, upcoming budget, what could be done, what needs to be done. I would, again, leave that up to you in terms of when you would like to do that. If you say, well, Matt, we'll schedule that when you're gone, more power to you. But, obviously, there's not time on the 7th. The next meeting would be the 21st if you wanted to do it prior to that meeting, or if you wanted to go in one of the off days, you could do that as well if you'd like to discuss that.
The next meeting would be nice. Yeah,
21st?
21st would be good.
Okay. Yeah, I will say that you should be planning sometime between now and probably the 7th that there could be the special meeting with the recruiting firm. Again, I'll find out what their availability is tomorrow and get that out to you as soon as I can to start trying to put that together. But that's probably going to happen before October 7th, just to let you know. So.
Okay, so is that a resolution to have that?
Yes.
6:30?
Yes.
Study session for park maintenance?
You need a second?
Yes.
I'll second it.
All right. Do we have that?
It's on the 21st?
21st at 6:30, study session. Park maintenance.
Okay.
And then when you're ready, call the roll.
Okay. Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding? Yes. Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
And the last thing, since this is my last public comments, I just wanted, one, to thank the mayor and council for the support over the last 4 years. It has been, whether you believe it or not, it's been truly great working with each and every one of you. I think, we've been able to work together to get a lot accomplished. And so I appreciate that, and made the job a lot easier when you're dealing with people that understand what we're trying to do. And I think each one of you understands the goals of making the community a better place. And I think, can't always say that about every council member that you come in contact with, but I can say that here in Lincoln Park. Second, I want to thank our staff. Our staff has been incredible over the 4 years. We've asked a lot of each and every member of our staff to do things that, other places that I've been probably would not have done. But I think they understand the situation that we're coming out of. They, again, understand the goals of what we're trying to achieve. May not see eye to eye all the time, but I think they appreciate the fact that we're trying to make sure that, again, we have a great community to work in and live in, but also, keep everybody employed going forward. And it's very easy to get off track and fall back into bad habits that could result in a lot of the gains that we made in staffing and levels of services, slip back. And we don't want to have that happen, because I think our residents deserve, the best services that we can provide. And the last group, is our residents, and I want to thank them for their patience and us trying to come together and get our act together to make sure that we can govern the way that they expect us to govern. When you look around the city today, there are a lot of roads right now being reconstructed, and I think the city is on the right path. And their patience and cooperation going forward will be even more important. But they've shown a lot of restraint, I think, over the last 4 years, at least I've been here, in what their expectations are. So I want to thank everyone. It's been truly a pleasure and an honor. And you will not be forgotten, so don't think that. I haven't left the universe yet, but hopefully we'll be able to get together sometime in the future as well when the new manager gets here. And as always, John's going to have my number, staff has my number. You can have my number, maybe. But thank you, and the best of luck going forward.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Your Honor, if I may, through the chair, I have a question for Matt, or
Sure.
a job, maybe. As we communicated back and forth about the DPS director, I would like for you to please sit down with him as he's been doing, the job of not just his, but 2 supervisors, and find out just how much work, additional work he has, as far as hours he's put in, and maybe come back to council with a recommendation for compensation.
Okay.
I agree with Lillian.
It'll probably be an email, so, since I won't be at a next meeting.
Oh, that's right, yeah. We'll have to make an extra meeting.
Okay.
Through the chair. I have a couple, I guess, questions, for the city manager. AT&T, how did we work out on that with the individual that we had talked about and investigated? Did we get any further with that?
So I did speak with Robert Jones, who is the governmental affairs person with AT&T. He is, I requested that they send someone out to the resident to look at the equipment. He says that's not their policy, but he is going to run that by their legal department, and if their legal department says that's something that they can do and are allowed to do, they will do that. He actually said that it is, as we've talked about it, not every customer is having that problem. And we don't know if it's an equipment issue at, AT&T's box, or if it's a equipment issue on the resident side. But what he did say was that and we don't know this, and I don't know this, if the resident has spoken to the customer service from AT&T, where they could do one of two things. One, they could send him a brand-new box, and maybe that may change it. Or in talking with the customer service, they might be able to do a troubleshooting routine, because it could be that and he said there's a sync issue maybe with the volume between the converter box. Let's see how old I am. The converter box and the actual TV. And so what he recommended is that the resident reach out to the customer service for that service to find out if that's an issue or not. But he said, those are the types of things that would make sense here. But he will run by legal and get back to me on that.
Through the chair, another thing, we talked about WOW, because I personally had an issue with WOW, and when I looked at what our reference people are for WOW, that's basically for the cable for the city. It has nothing to do with our customers that are in the residents in the city having a problem. Did we get any further with that, or we're just still looking at that?
I'm still looking at that.
Right.
I didn't get into finding that, but I just want to make sure. So you're not talking about the governmental affairs person?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about if a resident has because we have the franchises that are allowed in the city, that if a resident has a problem with WOW as far as getting something done, okay, and it affects a building, a garage, whatever in the city, which we take care of the residents, and we can't get a response from WOW, who would we call as the city liaison to say that same thing we're doing with DTE, that we have a problem with a customer, is there an issue that you can't, or is the customer not being serviced? Not on every issue, but on some of the issues that they have a hard time getting through, because usually you call one of those automated systems and have your call center from wherever, and you could or could not get lucky. They don't have any people that you can, from customer service, I guess is what I'm saying. And I don't mean for all the time, but if there's an extraordinary problem, somebody can call and we can do something in a reference,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the relationship that I know we've cultivated with like DTE, AT&T, Comcast. Unfortunately or unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of issues with WOW. And that's when I started looking at my contact information. I didn't have the governmental affairs person for them, so that's why I'm still doing a little bit of research on that. But I think it's important to understand that not every issue that customers have should probably be funneled through these contacts that we have. But I don't want to say important ones, but more citywide or area-wide issues are the ones that really need to go through the governmental affairs process.
I agree, and I think it would be something where we have a resident that's getting the story, whether it's our equipment or theirs, when they're talking about their service, like we had with the AT&T. That would be an issue that we would get involved with. The other issue would be the fact that if they have a wire laying on their garage and they couldn't get somebody out there, that kind of is into our wheelhouse a little bit, I would think anyways. But the last question, I'm sorry.
If I just real quick, I don't want to give the public the impression that they're having, a problem with paying a bill or something with one of them, that they should call our offices and we could take care of that. But what you just said, those are exactly what we use the governmental affair liaisons for, is to try to get those things resolved.
And the last issue I got is there was a discussion I had with because I'm the liaison for the assessor's office. They're supposed to be getting a city vehicle so they could go out and do the thing. How is that coming? They said they're waiting for a alternator or something, but they didn't know anything more about that. What kind of vehicle? And when I talked to John, he's not working on nothing for them. So I'm kind of confused. Do they have a vehicle? Are they getting the vehicle?
Earlier when I talked about providing a vehicle for the interim manager, I said that there was a vehicle that the police department is given to us that has a power steering issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that
you were going to give that away, though.
But you worked it out.
Okay.
So,
that's fine.
But
that's the one you. So that okay.
Yep.
Just so
Yeah.
John knows, then they know it gets fixed, and
Well,
eventually
I
when
know-
it gets
yeah.
back out of service, that they can get it, because they got to do their inventories for the city, so that we're in compliance.
Yeah, the police chief followed up for that,
Okay.
on that for me today, and apparently they replaced the power steering pump, but they're still having a leak, so they still have a little bit more work to do in there, so.
I'm done. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Matt.
All right, sir. Well, thank you. And then we'll move on to department head report. This is the library director, Nicole.
Hello. I'll keep this short. Since I last spoke to you in May, we've had our summer reading program occur. This year's theme was a universe of stories, and that covered space travel and technology and how it relates to the books. And we had great participation this year. We had 264 children complete the program, so that's up from 221 last summer. Our youth librarian did a fantastic job of organizing the programs every week, and we had a group of great performers. So we hope to build on that next summer. We have also had an increase in the ebook usage. Last year at this time, we were at 328 downloads a month, and last month we were up over 500 for the first time. So we had 524 downloads, and that's roughly a 30% increase from this time last year. We have been doing a lot of outreach for that, as far as flyers and instructionals on how to set that up on people's phones and tablets. So that's been doing well. As far as events that are either upcoming or ongoing, the library is partnered with the Kiwanis of Lincoln Park for a bookmark contest that's open to the children in Lincoln Park. They color in a bookmark and submit it, and a winner will be chosen after the end of the month, and their bookmark will be printed. So they would submit that up at the library front counter. Starting on October 4th, the Friends of the Library semi-annual book sale will start, and that runs through October 12th. And there's been a great many donations for that already, so I thank all of the residents who have brought in donated books and movies for that. All of the proceeds do benefit and fund projects for the library. That's how our projector was paid for. And then later on down the line, December 8th, we are hosting the Downriver Book and Holiday Fair, and that will be on December 8th, and it runs from noon to 7 p.m., and part of the proceeds will benefit the library, and then I think they also benefit the school libraries. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, thank you.
Now I'll open it up for citizen communications.
My name is Duchesne, and I live in Lincoln Park. And I would like to announce that the Friends of the Lincoln Park Library are going to have their fall book sale beginning Friday, October the 4th, for everyone. Thursday, October 3rd, is preview night for members of the Friends of the Lincoln Park Library from 5 to 8 p.m. If you are not a member of the Friends, you can join at the door for $10 for 1 year. Preview night gives members first choice of all the great books for sale. Every nickel from the scrap, newspaper sales, book sales, and dues goes to the Lincoln Park Library. The funds are used so that the library can enlarge its collection and services. Also buy furniture which there is no tax money to purchase, and bring your scrap paper to the bins on Cleophas behind the library. Thank you.
Chris Starzinski. As a resident and as a former public official, I want to thank Matthew Koppler very much for what he's done for Lincoln Park. And I'll add this so that everybody understands just how complex these things are when it comes to managing a city. When Matthew came on board and I was on council for about 7 months, I said, all I'm going to ask is that you always be brutally honest with me, and I will be brutally honest with you. And let me tell you, folks, that's the way the relationship was. And it served both of us well, and it served the city well. Matthew, you're a decent man, and that's a real credit. Hands of the City, our next planning meeting is Sunday, this Sunday, September 22nd, 5 p.m. At the VFW, 1125 4th Street. And we'll be discussing upcoming events. And we'll also be putting a lot of time into putting together our batch of ideas of what we want for the new car show that we want to host at the in conjunction with the VFW during the cruising downriver next June. So if you have interest in cars and being part of a brand new car show in downriver hosted right here in Lincoln Park, then show up for that. And especially if you are part of a car club, we definitely want everybody's input. Downriver Open House is the same day, Sunday, September 22nd at Icarus Hall, 1677 4th Street, right next to Park Restaurant, open to all Downriver restaurants, all Downriver residents, business owners, public officials, anybody who ever heard of Downriver. We're going to be talking about what we want to see as an entire community to benefit the future of Downriver, and that'll be from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. I will be handling various events that I'll be promoting, and I'll also be working to promote the Lincoln Park Preservation Alliance and the Farmers Market, and I think about 3 other hats I put on top of myself for that day. The Crossroads Revival, this is an all-day Christian music event to raise funds for the food pantry at Blessed Hope Church in Lincoln Park. And the goal is to fund it for as many months as possible. That is September 28th. That's a Saturday. VFW Post 552 noon until 10:30. Various bands, and we'll have the food and some raffle items. Still need donations of raffle items. Just go to my Facebook page. You can't miss it. $10 per adult. $25 for a family, and a family is 2 adults and 5 kids. Mix and match that any way you want. Rocktober, and we're also going to discuss exactly how you spell Rocktober. So we have various ideas on that. Saturday, October 12th at the Moose Lodge, 1600 4th Street. That'll be 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. featuring Channel Cats. They're a 70s cover band. They're performing for free. $5 general admission, $4 if you wear a costume, $3 if you are a lodge member, and all proceeds from that event will go back to, we'll put that right back into future events for Hands of the City. This Thursday, I should have started with this one, this Thursday at the Icarus Hall, 1677 4th Street, right next to the Park Restaurant, entrance in the rear, please. At 5 p.m., there will be a special DDA meeting where they'll be discussing hiring a director and what's going to go into that, how they're going to proceed. I encourage business owners, especially in the downtown area, to attend, residents to attend. This is one of the key positions in this community. The Downtown Development Authority is its own government, and as a board, they give the director how they want to proceed with things. So that director is the key person who works on development within the downtown area. So If you want your downtown to look like Wyandotte and look like Novi and so forth and so on, come out, folks. Be directly involved in what the new DDA director's position is going to be. This is your opportunity. 5 p.m. this Thursday, Icarus Hall, 1677 Ford Street. Don't just complain about how dark the lights are. There's no lights in downtown. We don't have this. We don't have that. Come out to the meeting. Be involved. Well, I think I put that out there. Did they get lost in translation? Did everybody understand? Thank you.
Good evening. Lita Tony. First, Mayor Carnes, I did want to mention on the September 3rd council meeting, as far as setting up a meeting with myself and Hennessy and Mr. Kazoo, that will take place tomorrow. Thank you for that. Hopefully we can go over some of the discrepancies or differences. And I did have questions through the chair, if I may direct to Mr. Koppler. When he introduced Mr. Kern on the August 19th meeting before the report was given, he mentioned about the televising, and he showed up the little flash drive. My first thought was, why wasn't there no mention of the televising that was done by the city on July 23rd that I seen on the computer screen as the DPS staff was televising all the way up to my line with the side view shot, as you had asked before, Mr. Kelsey. Allowed them to pour dye in my toilet, flushed the toilet, immediately went out. The guy said it immediately all came out, and he replayed it and showed it. And why wasn't that mentioned? I don't know if Mr. Kern was even aware of that.
All of this can be brought out in your meeting that you're going to have tomorrow, though.
And my question was, will I be able to get a copy of that televising?
That I don't know, but talk to the two gentlemen that we have set up for tomorrow, and they'll be able to answer your question, and then we'll find out after that.
Okay, I will do that. And I'd like to say to Mr. Koppler, been a pleasure working with you the past 4 years. And I know there will be many people here in the city that will miss you and wish we could have had you for a little bit longer time. And best wishes to you. Thank you.
Annette DiMaggio, Elliott Avenue. Mayor Carnes, Council, Lincoln Parkers. I'm here with good news. We've had some great things happen the last couple weeks on cleanups. So first of all, we cleaned up Memorial Park on Saturday, September 7th. And I'd like to especially thank Mayor Carnes and Councilman Higgins for being there. Not just for all the work you did, but just the support to have you there. And then on Saturday, we were able to clean up at the Historical Museum. And when I first proposed that to Jeff, I thought it would be a nice cleanup, but until we got in there, I didn't realize how much we really needed to be there and clean it up. I don't know if it's been cleaned up that well in a while, okay? So I want to say some more thank yous to Ace Hardware for allowing me to have some yard bags, for Councilman Salcido for dropping off some yard waste bags also. I really want to thank DPS. I know that this isn't an emergency and that they're very short-staffed, but not only on these two events, but in previous events, they've been really good about bringing dirt or wood chips so that we didn't have to go out and pay for those. They were delivered and put in areas that were useful to us. So I really appreciate you taking that and getting those supplies to us so we could get our work done in a timely fashion. I want to thank Doreen, and I really want to thank Jeff Day because he was so easy to work with, and that's definitely something I'm looking for. I want to really do things for the city, but if you make it easy for me, you're going to get on top of the list. For my mathematics, I see that we donated 48 work hours off of those two cleanups to the city. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and those that came really worked. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get another quadrant planted in Memorial Park, but Mrs. Sisma from the high school said September's a very busy month at the school, that she can't do it. And if you're not a gardener, that really needs to be done now. To wait any later is endangering that the plants would get near the frost, and that if we waited any longer, it isn't good. So I'll have to just be patient again to wait until the spring to get another quadrant done. So I know there was another cleanup. It was so exciting to be at the Historical Museum, knowing that another group of residents were taking care of another park. Obviously, I wasn't there, so I'm not taking credit for it, nor was I involved. But that was pretty exciting that there was another group of people that took it upon themselves to make another park better. And I'm hoping someone here tonight is going to talk about that. Thank you for your support, and let's move on. Go Lincoln Park!
Good evening, Joyce Murray, Lincoln Park resident. First, I want to thank you, Matt, for all your hard work and allowing me to bring all my problems to you. It's been a pleasure. I work in Grosse Pointe, so we'll have to do lunch. And then I just wanted to bring to the attention and to make residents aware, when you see something suspicious, call. There were some reports on our Residents of Lincoln Park page, which, by the way, has over 2,300 members now. There was apparently some men in a truck taking gravel off of New York from when they were doing the road construction there. So nobody's sure if it was actual construction crew members, city workers, or people sealing the gravel for the construction. So please, if you see something, say something, no matter how small, it's important. Regarding the down wires, Larry, you were talking about the cable wires. I did send you that link. You can, as a resident, file a complaint with the state of Michigan, who now runs the Cable Commission. The link is, if you just Google State of Michigan Cable Commission, it comes right up. It's on our residents page. That might be something nice to put on the city website in case residents are having issues with that. So Matt, I can send that to you. And then I want to thank Annette for your hard work with the Memorial Garden, the Historical Museum. It looks great. Keep up the great work. And in this past weekend, as she said, there was a group of residents that got together to help clean up Ford Motor Park, which I've lived in this city my whole life and never knew existed. Go figure. There's no sign for it. It's right by the railroad tracks. It's behind buildings and residents. And it's a shame because it's a beautiful park. You can go fly kites there if you have model airplanes, if you have drones. It is great. It is beautiful. Residents worked from probably about noon to 3:30 scrubbing graffiti. They had 5 weed whips out. They had guys out there with a chainsaw, and they were cutting down along the fence line because it's overgrown. So it's important that we work on getting that park cleaned up. It's right by the railroad tracks, and the railroad does not take care of their side of the fence, which we would like to figure out how to get that done. But also, if you have kids playing in the park because it is so secluded, all those bushes along those railroad tracks is dangerous. People can be hiding in there, especially if you are a single mom and you've got your 3-4 kids out there. You're not going to think about looking at that. So it's a really important thing. We also had 3 kids that were out there that helped clean up the park and help scrub the graffiti. Do you guys realize how important that is? And when you get your kids out to help you, to help clean up the city, if they're ever in that situation where they're with friends and they're going to tag a building or tag a playscape, they're going to be like, no, I spent 3.5 hours scrubbing that off, and it's not hard. So please, when there's volunteer things, get your kids out because it's going to teach them a lesson. We do need to have some more dirt put in there because there are some ruts in there where people can get hurt. We had, I'm not sure, John, how much they dumped off, but probably another 3 to 6 yards. The DPS had dropped off some, and they used that, and we need more. The entrance needs some gravel. There needs to be a sign there to let people know they can go and hang out there and have a picnic. It's beautiful. I want to thank the DPS for picking up all the stuff that was put out on the side and for dropping off the dirt, for the supplies, the paint, the stuff to scrub the graffiti off the playscapes, Domino's for donating pizza to our volunteers, Blessed Hope for water and garbage and lawn bags. Councilman Higgins, you showed up before I got there. We took Councilman Parkinson's truck and commandeered it for the day. So we just want to thank everybody who was involved. There was over 20 volunteers there, and I don't have all their names, but thank you. And thank you to Constance Adamczewski and Brian Dunlop for heading this up. There is a Facebook page now called Lincoln Park Cleanup Crew. If you want to be involved, we're going to try to pick one park a month and go and scrub graffiti, cut weeds down, take chainsaws, and we've got a pretty solid main crew. So check it out, Lincoln Park Cleanup Crew. Thank you.
Jason Baer, a Lincoln Park resident. I have to say, hearing all this talk about our parks and cleaning up our parks really makes my heart sing with joy because I am on the Parks and Recs Commission. We do have our next regularly scheduled meeting this coming Wednesday. We have not been able to meet for several months because we have not been able to make quorum. I have had some Facebook interactions with the group that did the Ford Park cleanup, inviting them to come to this meeting to speak about what they did, what they would like to do going forward with, especially with that Facebook group that Joyce just mentioned, Lincoln Park Cleanup Crew. We can use more members on the Parks and Recs Commission for people that are interested in putting more time into cleaning up our parks. That is something that would fall under our purview. I believe our director, Doreen, would know for sure. And thank you for scheduling that study session on October 21st for park maintenance. That's a really important step so the council can help collaborate with the citizens as we all try to build up our parks and make our city as aesthetically pleasing as we can. Thank you.
Seeing no one else approaching, we'll move on to oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Breeding.
Matt, I am going to miss you. You've done a tremendous job. I really feel that. I mean, you're a smart man, you're a good man, and there has never been any question as to how you handle things, the way you present your reports, the information you provide for us. You're good. And I really hated this. You know how I felt. I didn't want you to go. But I wish you well in your new job. And they're not going to love you as much as we did here, but that's your problem. So, but I just want to thank you for all your hard work and your extra time you put in. I mean, there you are working for Cinco de Mayo and down at Lincoln Park Days and everything. You didn't have to do things like that, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that you treated mayor and council with respect rather than telling them this is how things are going to be, because we know how I've told you things have been in the past. So I really appreciate it. I wish you well. And that's about all I have to say to Matt. Okay, moving on. Kroger is going to sponsor a flu clinic on Wednesday, October the 16th from 9 a.m. till noon at the band shell. So anyone, you have to bring your ID and your insurance card. But that's Kroger is sponsoring a flu clinic, October 16th. And I think you've seen the posters around that zombie apocalypse. We're having it on October the 5th. Truck or treat, there's face painting and campfires and scary stories. But on October the 5th, beginning at 11 o'clock, it's at the band shell. And we hope we have a large crowd and bring your kids out, and there's going to be food and vendors all day. And I think, earlier, I hate that he had left. There was a representative here from the State Rep Clementi. He was in the audience. And I was just curious, I should have said something in the very beginning or whatever. Did we ever write a letter to our state rep and ask her for funding, to help with the funding in this next budget for the police and the court? Did we ever, since she's on the finance committee, and ask for monies?
I've had a meeting with her
Okay.
to ask for that. I
Okay.
haven't put that into writing, and I'm going to be meeting again with her.
That's fine, as long as there was some contact there. I just wasn't quite.
If they're still in operation next week.
Oh, okay. Well, then Neil could have more meetings if they're not.
That's true.
So, okay, that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Salcedo.
Yes, once again, Matt, thanks for everything. You've always answered my text messages, emails, and phone calls. You always got back with me, and I appreciate that, and I learned some things from you. Thank you very much. Your humor, on the other hand, no, I won't go there. I'm just kidding. And I do thank Annette for all your hard work, and Joyce, for the citizens coming together, clean the parks. That's just a wonderful thing. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thanks, sure. Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. I too want to say thank you, Matt. I didn't know what to expect when I got elected, but your guidance, all those talks, big help. So I hope, you know what, I'm not going to say goodbye because you're going to give me your number. Okay. So just some quick reminders. The last household hazardous waste collection of the year will be October the 3rd from 8 to 2 at the Wayne County Community College in Taylor. And I know Nicole mentioned the Kiwanis Bookmark Contest, so don't let the kids forget to turn those in. The deadline is October 1st. And if you get a chance, I would like to invite you all to the Mixter Institute for Transition. I know we got the flyer that they started their market is open on Fridays. So that is, it's really nice. They have such nice things. If you have maybe a birthday or something of someone that, might be hard to buy for, go look. And then I know that I have 2 dogs who love their peanut butter bones that they make. So that might be something to go try. I didn't get to look up, and I know Fire Chief, you're here, if you could help me with this, because I'm not sure if the firehouse open house is before our next council meeting. I just wanted to make sure that the residents were aware.
It's after our next council meeting, but it's a good reminder anyway. It's going to be October 6th, Sunday, from noon till 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I believe that's it. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Councilman Higgins.
Thank you. I too would like to add my voice to the people who will miss Matt. You are, and I have been with the city in different phases or different ways for all the city managers, and you are far and above best we've ever had, and I wish you well on your journey. I'd like to say that a lot of times I sit up here and I talk about how important volunteers are to this city, and this city was built on volunteers, and that's what made this city great and continues to make this city great. And 2 weeks ago at the band shell, the Kennedy Memorial Building, this weekend, and at the museum and at Ford Park, that showed that the life and the greatness is still in Lincoln Park, and I want to thank each and every person who had anything to do with that. Thank you to everybody. I also want to thank the DPS for helping out with not only the dirt, but to picking up the scraps and going over even before the cleanup at the park and picking up some tires that were dumped there. And I'd like to ask at that point, anybody who sees people dumping in our parks or sees something, please report it so that we can have it taken care of. Don't just sit back and complain, well, somebody left that in my park. And no, let the city know so it can be taken care of so the next kid can play and be safe. I'd like to remind everybody that the Lincoln Park Moose is trying to help out the local food banks. We're doing a food drive in conjunction with the Hands of the City. You can drop off any non-perishable food at the Moose anytime after 6 o'clock. It's at 2 blocks past Southfield on 4th Street. Please come out and donate, and let's help the people who need it. I'd like to remind everybody, again, it was mentioned earlier, the DDA meeting this Thursday at the, and I always pronounce the hall wrong, so I'm just going to say it's the hall next to the Park Restaurant. Please come out. The meeting's at 5 o'clock, and they're starting to talk about a new DDA director, and it's very important for this city. We want to keep the momentum that they have given us and in the last couple of years moving. Let's not lose any momentum, and let's keep it going. As mentioned before, I'm talking about volunteers again. The Community Improvement Commission, which is one of our most important commissions and has done a lot for the city over the years. We're down some members, and please give us some thought to coming out and helping our city. And I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Kelsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. All I got to say, Matt, is you survived my test, so I don't think you're going to have a problem going to the new city. I mean, but I appreciate the fact that, you know, no matter what happened, you didn't get upset. You didn't yell. You were sitting back and just deep diving everything, which kind of messed me up when you went around those circles and came back to the argument. But that was cool. I learned something from you, so I appreciate that. But I think and echoing everybody else's comments, everything joking aside, you did a real good job. I think you kept peace between everybody. I think you treated everybody right. I think you balanced all the different dynamics that go with being a city manager, I think, quite well, and survived. I think that's a note to your experience, and I mean, that's quite a testament. People don't realize what you have to balance in that position. I mean, we all comment about we want you to do this, want you to do that. Well, citizens come up, everybody else comes. You're not just one council person's a rep or one department rep. You're everybody. And you have to balance all those needs and wants with what you got, because basically you're the finance guy with Lisa to decide how much money we're spending and what we're going to spend and how we're going to spend it. So I'll give you congratulations and sincere. It was nice working with you. I think it was a good experience, and I think you did well for the city. We moved a lot of different projects we had that moved forward that wouldn't have moved forward without the diligence or the guidance or however you want to call it. And I'll leave that where it's at. But, you know, I mean, I thought you'd give Mr. Zeck that Jeep of yours for a city vehicle, but I guess I wasn't going to go into it. But all kidding aside, it was very nice working with you. Just real quick thing is that I got a call, and me and Carlos talked about this, about a resident on Michigan Avenue that was complaining that he didn't get his two of his potholes in front of his house filled. And I know we've dealt with it. I dealt with it before Carlos did that. And excuse me, the DPS gets sidetracked sometimes with water mains and all that. And life's not perfect and things happen. But I told the gentleman that I'd bring it up because he's been real patient as well as everybody else has. So I'm going to I'll talk to John afterwards. But I think sometimes you have to remember is that we don't know unless they call us and let us know that something fell through the cracks. And I don't mean us, but I mean the city per se. And I think that's, you know, without communication, we would assume that everything was fine. And I think stuff happens. I mean, when you have an emergency and you get sidetracked, sometimes what happens is that things get miscommunicated for whatever reason. And it's no intention, it happens. It happens in any business we have. And I appreciate the gentleman letting me know, and I let Carlos know, and we'll talk to John. But, I mean, we'll take care of it. But, I mean, the point I'm getting at is that things happen in the city, and we talk about citizens participating, which is really great, because we've talked about that for years, and I think that's great. But also, some citizens, they've been here a long time, they're patient, they understand things are not perfect, the city goes through, and I think we have to give them a lot of credit for their tolerance for us, that they don't do, they take it with a grain of salt, and they move forward and try to get things done. So I'd like to say to the residents in general, thank you, and I know Matt has said that, through the years that we've gone through Matt, when he came here and we stabilized things and we worked forward, it's been a great testament to where we're at. We have volunteers now doing the parks and stuff like that. So I think it's a lot of hats off to the citizens. They've done a good job, and I think it's going to go real good underneath our interim city manager. And like I said before, I just think we had some good leadership. We had a lot of rough issues, and Matt happened to be the pick we picked after the emergency manager. He was one of those we didn't know, and we go, this guy sounds good, and he turned out good. And if we could clone you, I would definitely like that, but can't do that. It's illegal. So thank you, John. That's all I'll say.
All right. Councilman Parkinson.
Matt, there's not much more I can say. It's already been said.
Yes.
There's stuff you can say. Oh, not in public, though. Whatever floats your boat, Matt. Put that one. I always had lots of compliments from you. You always had time to discuss problems with anyone on council or any citizens that walked in. Your door was open. You had time they could sit down and have a discussion with you. I've never heard anybody speak poorly about you. So it's just too bad you're leaving. Oh, except me. I wish you good luck where you're going to. And like I say, I hope you get your boat so you can float around. The animal shelter, I think we need to do it right the first time, because if you keep doing it in sections, it costs you a lot more money. So figure out where to get the money and double the size and make it the first time, because it doesn't cost twice as much to build twice the building. Now, the Ford Park used to have a sign. I made it years ago, but since then, it's rotted to the ground. Now, the park cleanup went well. I understand that a lot of residents showed up. It shows pictures on the Residents of Lincoln Park, Michigan website. And by the way, Constance Chesty is my daughter. I was just proud as hell that my daughter did so well on the first try. For the people doing parks cleanups, you have community service people from the court building. You might want to check with the judge, and you might have to send some community service people over to help you with the parks. And Jumbo, I had somebody complain that Jumbo's, they did a main break in front of Jumbo's and it's still leaking. Well, that's not correct. It's a water gate that's leaking. You need to close the street down to do that. So they're waiting in tandem with some work that's going to be done there. I think it's cement work. And they're going to do them both at the same time, so you don't have two different lane closures. So Matt, like I said, thank you, buddy. We'll see you later.
Alrighty. Just a reminder, this Saturday is the flea art market over at the Historical Museum. I think that starts at 11 o'clock. And coming up that first weekend in October 5th for the zombie apocalypse, as the council president mentioned, with the trunk or treat. And then the 6th, which is the fire department's open house. So be relatively busy on that. I remember that in going through where the emergency manager brought forth two candidates, or the last executive group brought forth two candidates, and Matt wasn't our first choice. So sometime, yeah, I do. Last time. And, but it just seems that it's fortunate. It's fortunate how things work out from time to time, because you've been a great addition to the city, and I think it's almost like it was your funeral here today. But, I mean, a lot of eulogies going, but it won't be. And we wish you the best of success in St. Clair Shores. But you'll be remembered for a long time here. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Support.
Support.
All right, let's do her.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Reading? Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
John Myers.
Yeah.
John.